Waterfowl season. Well, let's go take
Commission Regulation number 10-03, Waterfowl seasons, 2010-2011. There we go.
Mr. Chairman, we're pleased to bring these regulations forward to discuss with you today. I'd like to inform the Commission that during the process of coming up with our draft regulations, one of our key players, after 30 years, retired.
You should turn on your...
Craig Mortimer. And so in his absence, we came out with our draft regulations. And luckily, because the Pacific Flyway Study Committee meeting this year, it's held in a different city every year. We were lucky it was held in Reno this year, so we were able to attend. And without Craig, and start to get up to speed on the processes that form the federal framework for migratory bird regulations. And so we expect that we'll have some various testimony on our draft regulations from some different counties perhaps today and individuals. And we'd like to let you know that because of the short time frame between the federal framework coming out and this process, we sent out our draft regulations 2 weeks ago, and during that time, the federal framework actually was finalized. And we met with several waterfowl groups. We had a summit meetings in Reno, down in Las Vegas, and over in Elko, and took input from various waterfowl groups and waterfowl interests. And so basically, you'll hear maybe some differences that they would like to incorporate into the regulations. Our concern is just basically with the biological issues and fitting things within the federal framework. And so we are looking forward to any kind of discussions and helping you out with the decision today. And I'd like to introduce Russell Wolstenhume, who has been selected to fill in for Craig Mortimer and be our migratory staff specialist.
All right. So you want to go over these things? I don't want to deal with this. We got a
public comment.
We'll go public comment. Anybody?
Doug Martin.
Bear with me. Darrell Harwell with Washoe County Advisory Board. We supported at our meeting the recommendations that was made by the state as far as the season dates and bag quotas. Now, Darrell Harwell with the Nevada Waterfowl Association. We make a recommendation that we go with the state season and bag limits except for the youth. The youth date in the north should be October 2nd. The youth day in the south, since they have to go 2 consecutive dates, we do believe it should be February 5th and 6th, which is a Saturday, Sunday, and the state has down a Sunday and Monday. That's our recommendation. Thank you.
Doug Martin.
For the record, Doug Martin. I serve on the board with the Canvasback Gun Club and also on the Carson City Wildlife Advisory Board. I missed that meeting because of family commitment last Monday. Also, I just wanted to say that Canvasback also supports having the youth hunt on the 2nd in the northern part of the state. Someday in the future, we're asking the department to petition the Pacific Flyway Council to allow us to have a youth hunt at the beginning and the end, but until such time that that is allowed, we would like to see it at the beginning of the season, so October 2nd. All other recommendations, we support the department. Thank you.
Paul Dixon.
For the record, Paul Dixon, Clark County. Darrell's suggestion of ending the season on the 5th and 6th rather than the 6th and 7th. I believe there was, as I pointed out in my notes to you, we had the largest turnout I've ever had at a county advisory board meeting. We held it in Overton, and we had a lot of duck hunters there. And they were very adamant that they wanted 2 days at the end of the meeting. Commissioners Howell, Schrum, and Macbeth were all there, so I had 3 of your commissioners sitting there. And I think that we really didn't look at whether that was a weekend or a Sunday, Monday, but you know, I can't represent that they would be there, but I'm almost 100% sure that they would be in support of the Saturday, Sunday piece. The second thing that we talked about at our meeting is that because the opening part of the season, we have to flood the fields down there at Overton, and if we flood them earlier in October to get to a late season, a mid-season October hunt, what happens is the ground temperature is over 100 degrees, and we end up with tremendous vegetation growth. And basically what you end up with is a grassy marsh with no standing water. So the recommendation from Clark County is that the Moapa Valley portion of the Overton Wildlife Management Area open the first weekend in November, and I believe that's November 6th. And that would be our recommendation. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Commissioner Macbeth?
Mr. Macbeth?
Yeah, I know that it's probably self-executing, but the other thing that came out of the meeting was that, you know, with this wonderful turnout, it just reemphasizes just how important the Overton Wildlife Management Area is to the south. This is it's our crown jewel down there, and it gets a lot of use, and I hope that everybody else in the public and everybody from the north realizes that we do not have the opportunity that you folks up in the north have when it comes to waterfowl. The Overton Wildlife Management Area is our only, you know, real opportunity. And in addition, we have the Key Pittman Wildlife Management Area, which is about 100 miles away. And the point I want to make is that they want access to both of those, and by doing it this way, I believe that we get on the every other day.
Gives us by starting this way, we maintain the alternating rule date. And one of the questions that was brought up when I talked with Craig's replacement on the phone, I believe we talked the other day on the phone, sir, is that we should look at it rather than being alternating days, which should be odd and even, because when you have a month like January of 31 days, and you back it up into various things and you head into February, odd and even don't work out always. I mean, alternating days don't always work out as well as calling it odd and even days in the system.
The point is that we want to be able to give the waterfowl hunters in the south access to both Overton and Key Pittman. The way it was last year, apparently, they were both open on the same days, and so they didn't get, on the off days, they had nothing to do.
All right. So what else we have?
That's all I had on cards, except Gil Yannick, he'd had item 18, I assume.
For the record, Gil Yannick, Carson Advisory Board. The Carson Advisory Board accepted the department's dates, bag limits, except again with the youth hunt. We'd like to see in the north the youth hunt on October 2nd.
Okay. We had one more. Candido Mendy? Oh, it's like we got a second one.
Candido Mendy of Elko CAB. We supported it unanimously with also the same amendment to move the special youth hunt to October 2nd. And the point was made that if you've been in Elko County in February, it's frozen solid, so you need to move her a little earlier.
Okay, did you fill out a card? I did. Okay, can you fill out a card when you're done speaking, please? Sure.
For the record, I'm Gib Mackin, representing the Churchill County Advisory Board and also the Greenhead Hunting Club. We agreed with all the recommendations from the state, with the youth exception, opening on October 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that everybody? Okay. Back to the commission.
I had a
Mr.
question, maybe it's already been answered, but why are these seasons in the south close a day earlier?
It's because if you give the youth 2 days, you have to take those off of the regular hunt. And in the north, they have a 1-day waterfowl youth hunt, and in the south, they have a 2-day. So that's why there's a difference of 1 day.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Secretary?
you had a chance to talk to the Pacific Flyway Council Secretary. Is it possible to have a youth hunt in the north earlier than the south?
Yeah, and we did that last year. Really, the recommendations you heard today, this is last year's regulations, they're in here. It was just what you've heard today. We had the early youth hunt up north, and in the south we had the late youth hunt last year. The Moapa Valley portion of the Overton Wildlife Management Area was open at a different time down south last year, just like they're asking for this year. And so everything you've heard today was really last year's recommendations pretty much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wasn't there some discussion by White Pine or some others relative to establishing a third district? Has there been anything done on that?
In fact, Larry has, or Russell probably has some information. In fact, we're pursuing that. There's a process that you have to go through the Pacific Flyway Council and the feds to be able to do that. And potentially, what, next year?
That one doesn't work. Sorry.
Russell Wilson with Department of Wildlife. The process to add a new zone, which that would be, can only occur every 5th year, and 2011 is that 5th year. So there's some planned discussion for the next couple of months. I'll be brought back before the commission before we proceed with that. But in the December Flyway meeting, if that's so appealing to the commission, we will recommend that third zone be created in the other side of the state, the eastern portion.
Excellent. Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may have just answered my question, but it seemed to me like we were going to try to get the northern zone to start 2 weeks earlier because of the bad weather at the end of the season. If we have to wait till next year to do that?
Yes, we do. Essentially, we have a northern zone and a southern zone, and there's differences in the north with when people would like to have the season open. Over here on this side of the state, you heard some of the testimony concerning opening with our recommendations this year, because, and some of that has to do with water delivery at the various marshes here in the north, and they don't get enough water spread out and enough ponds showing until about the time this season's opening. Over on the Elko side of the northern zone, they have a freeze-up problem. Usually about mid-November, everything freezes pretty hard and it's pretty much over. And that actually goes all the way down to probably Steptoe Wildlife Management Area. And so what we're going to be looking at, we'd like to, we have a few waterfowlers from Elko County who are asking for this third zone, and we'd like to get participation from sportsmen, from waterfowlers down in Lincoln, maybe as far as Lincoln and Nye, and White Pine, of course, and Elko, because if we're talking about the Ruby Marsh, the Elko White Pine line goes through there, so we obviously have to include White Pine County. So then how far down do you want to go into White Pine County with this third zone? And you could go to Highway 50. If you go to the White Pine Lincoln line, you're cutting White River Valley, where there's duck hunting on both sides of that line. There's water that flows down there. There's ponds available on both sides. That would be kind of confusing. You get to Geyser Ranch. Geyser Ranch has ponds on both sides of White Pine County and Lincoln County. So we want to involve the sportsmen on that side of the state especially. And, you know, if we went as far as Sunnyside, that might be good. It would give Las Vegas hunters a different opener, waterfowl hunters, a 2-week earlier opener to go to. But even so, they can still come up to Ruby Marsh if we only go to there. But so we'd like to bring this up with county game boards over the next couple of months, for sure the September meeting, and then a follow-up meeting, and get some input, and then come back with some sort of an outline and recommendation for that third zone. And then when we get agreement in the state with the sportsmen, then Russell will carry that forward through the Pacific Flyway Study Committee process and see if we can get that accepted.
One follow-up. I've seen state maps with 3 zones on them.
Yep.
Is that what you're basically going to try to follow?
Yes. California has 5 zones. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to try to see if we can get a third zone. It makes sense.
Anybody else? Ms. Macbeth?
This is just a general comment. Again, we had the the meeting after, we had our Wildlife Advisory Board meeting, had a great showing. We didn't, when we had our Duck Summit down in Las Vegas this time, we didn't get as good a showing as we had last year. But we got some wonderful information. The facility managers from Steptoe and Kirch were there, and actually the guy from Steptoe was the overall manager for Keep Pittman, and we got a lot of really good information. The Steptoe facility has had a lot of projects that have been completed in conjunction with Ducks Unlimited. Looks like it's going to be a great facility. It's not getting very much use right now, so I want to get the word out. The thing that I'd like to see is that given the very wonderful showing that we had in Overton, I want to think about doing the Duck Summit in conjunction with the Wildlife Advisory Board meeting held in Overton. We had 35 people present, and we didn't have any Endow employees. And what I think that if we combine those two, we would have a maximum input from the sportsmen who use that facility. And so I just we had all three of the commissioners were there at that meeting, and it was very good. And so I just leave that with you and think about that.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. And that ends. Just to kind of summarize here, it looks like we've got these regulations. We've had two suggestions. One is to change the Northern Zone youth to October 2nd. The other suggestion from CAB was the Moapa Valley portion of the Overton Wildlife Area. Change that opening date to November 2nd. I think that was 6th. Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
As a point of clarification for that opener in the Moapa Valley portion of the Overton Wildlife Management Area, that refers to waterfowl, to ducks and to coots and common moorhens, and not to geese. So that's the way it was set up last year.
Mr. McBeth?
Thank you, Chairman Rain. I believe...
And snipe. So it would be all three of those.
Is this a snipe hunt?
It's a snipe
hunt. Paul, but might have to address the chairman, but I thought that they wanted both ducks and geese to start on November 6th and 7th, and so this would be a difference, a change from last year that they were. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
Okay, so it was both ducks and geese, so different from last year, which was just ducks. The folks down in the south wanted both ducks and geese, the whole waterfowl season to open on November 6th.
All right, I think we're ready. Oh, Mr. Cavan?
Could we get a little clarification on the... Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could we get a little clarification on that odd even that came up?
Sure. The situation that they have is Overton Wildlife Management Area is about 65 miles out of Las Vegas. Key Pittman is actually located in Lincoln County, and it is about 120 miles from Las Vegas. And so that's their major duck hunting opportunities down there. And when they're usually open every other day once the season starts. And if you coincide those days, then they don't. There's some days they can't hunt. So they try to have alternate days, so that there's a season open all the time for people in Las Vegas. If they can't make it to Overton today, they can go to Key Pittman tomorrow. And one of the problems we have right now is it Key Pittman that has odd days? Yeah, so Key Pittman says it's open up, I think it usually says the opening weekend and then the odd days in the season. And Overton right now says it's open the opening Saturday, I believe, and then every other day. And that works fine until you get to January, because you have even numbers of days, because November has 30 days. And then when you get to the end of December, you have 31 days, so you have the 31st and the 1st together, and then it flip-flops. So that's a change that we're going to need to make in that regulation, and that regulation isn't right now.
Okay.
So I think we'll have one more year where when we get to January, we're going to have that difficulty. But anyway, that's what they would like, is have alternate days. And in the future, we need
You'll
to get
bring
that
that
worked
back
out.
to us.
When is that, does Maureen know when that regulation comes? No. For management areas?
At a future meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
in the future,
good.
maybe
Thank you.
next meeting.
All right, ready for motion? Oh, we've already gone over. We're past that.
That's fine.
Okay, I'm just looking for motion here.
I'll get somebody more eloquent than me.
Mr. Cavan, Mr. Cavan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd make a motion to adopt, I'm just going to do the youth season, and we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll go to the other one. How's that? Make a motion to adopt the special youth waterfowl hunt with the following change for the northern zone to October 2nd, and the southern zone to February 5th and 6th.
6 and 7?
5th and 6th. Not 3 days.
Second that.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the waterfowl, the youth waterfowl seasons with changes stated by Mr. Cavan. Does everybody understand? Motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. Motion. There's no more duck season. Oh.
Sure, make a motion.
I'd try it, but I thought I'd defer to Commissioner Macbeth, because he understands this Moapa Valley a little better than I do.
I'm just looking, okay, Mr. Macbeth.
Okay, I would like to move that we approve the waterfowl season for ducks and mergansers. Now, does this include, am I making a motion on coots and common moorhens and common snipe and everything? Because they all appear to be separate. Let me just ask a question first. Do you want me to do them all?
Fair enough. Why don't we just take them all?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this would be with, and would that include the falconry as well?
Falconry and swan.
Go ahead.
And
It's your motion. We can do that.
I guess everything but the swan. Okay, so this motion covers ducks and mergansers, coots and common moorhens, common snipe, Canadian white-fronted geese, snow and Ross geese, and the falconry seasons. That we approve this as proposed with the following changes. That for the Moapa Valley portion of the Overton Wildlife Management Area, that the start date be on November 6th.
Second.
Just a clarification, do I need to say anything about the alternative days? By doing that, we get that as much as we possibly can.
I don't think we can.
We can't.
I don't think we can. It's a different regulation.
Okay. But by doing it, by making that the Overton Wildlife Management Area opening on the 6th, at least for up until January 31, we will have the alternative days.
Up to January.
And, okay.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the duck seasons, duck and other waterfowl seasons as stated by Mr. Macbeth. Does everybody understand the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We'll get down to swan. Falconry and swan.
I believe I did include falconry. in the
Okay,
motion.
that was included in falconry. Okay. Just swan. Second one, swan.
Just have a question.
Question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have the authority to talk about or approve the recommendation from Washoe Cab on Swan for Washoe County, or is that for another day?
What was it?
To allow swan hunting at Washoe Lake. Scripts.
I don't think that's restricted by commission regulation. We'd have to look at the current regulation.
Commissioner Rain?
Mr. Vogler?
Question for you, Mr. Mayor. Wouldn't the swans be considered a federally protected bird? Wouldn't we have to have permission from them, or?
Yes, Mr. Vogler, we do have permission to hunt swans.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes. We have a swan season in the state of Nevada. But this specific site location is not in the federal framework, and I doubt seriously that there's something in our regulation. We'd have to look that up. If we can maybe take a break for us old guys, we could look that up and get back to you.
All right, let's take a short recess. We'll reconvene at 10:40.